here in Eastbourne, Calv, Billy Harris. And I know all of you out there, I get a message a week, people asking me to get Billy Harris on the podcast. And I actually went up to him this week because I used to coach Billy. And I said, mate, look at all these messages, everyone's after you. And he's just such an underplayed, downplayed guy. Anyone that doesn't know his story, pretty much lived in a campervan for however many years, is getting close to cracking top 100. And how does that happen, Cal? Because, all due respect to Billy, and I love Billy, I never really saw a game that was going into the top 100 in the world. We saw holes in his game. We saw all sorts. He looked a little bit stiff, didn't move great. Forehand wasn't overly fantastic, but he seems to have just, by hook or by crook, kept going, coached, managed to find a way to stay in the game, and now here he is going on. He's 29 years old now, going on to 30 next year, almost going to be breaking top 100.
Yeah, I think Billy's story, as much as anything else, is evidence that in this sport in particular, there is no blueprint how to get there. It's not a production line. There is no pathway. People just have their own journey. And it doesn't mean we don't have to, that you have to be at this ranking at this age, this ranking at this age, this ranking at this age. People are different. Tennis is a simple game played by complex people. And people just they reach their level at different ages. And Billy he's never been a bad player. He's always been a good player. And the thing with Billy, he's just a competitor. He's a real competitor. I remember in the Pro League, we're 4 years ago now since we had the UK Pro Leagues over COVID and over lockdown. And for anyone who doesn't know, there were 7 weeks in a row, 6 weeks of qualifying matches and then a Masters where you played 7 matches in 7 days. So you played a match every day. And then most players had a week off somewhere. Billy, and they were all at the same tournament and all on the same court. And Billy got himself an Airbnb and he played all 7 weeks. He played 49 matches in 7 weeks. And he didn't actually win any of those tournaments either. He came runner-up, I think. But the money was good, But what Billy was like, the money was good. I think Billy he probably made himself about 20 grand from those 7 weeks. But that showed a lot of people what also a lot of people already knew, that there are players like Billy Harris around. And you think about the amount of money that has gone into other players who are no longer in the game since Billy was 18. The amount of money that we've stuck into juniors and guys who we won't even remember now on PSP and that kind of thing. And as far as I know, I don't think Billy's ever had any funding from the governing body, which to me says two things: that one, the governing body haven't got this right, and two, you don't need them. Tennis is one sport where you don't need the support of the governing body. You can do it without them. And he's drove his transit van around Britain and then around Europe and that kind of thing, and played his futures and then broke through into challengers. And now he's breaking through into, being good players. Caboli is a serious player.
Oh, and looking so comfortable in that environment as well. But doesn't it say, Jazz, doesn't it say about, and I bang this drum all the time, but competitive structure. And I know Dan Evans has been a big fan of Billy for a long time. Working class background. This is the kid. I know he's pushed him to be hitting partner at Davis Cup, and I think he's seen the story coming for a while. But I know conversations I've ever had with Dan is Dan's always, and not everything Dan says you want to take on board, but he's always been big on you get a tournament structure in place where people can play closer to home. And almost put the funding in an incentive manner, and the cream will rise to the top. And I guess exactly what Calv's saying there with Billy, this ultra competitive guy, he's found his way, right? It's taken him time, but COVID was probably the best thing for him, that he managed to save up some money during that time. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I spent all the time around, but I actually know the guy who helped sponsor him really, really well, Smith. He's held with him for a long time, and the one thing that he's always picked up on is just Billy's work ethic. He's just like you say, he's not potentially got the best technique or anything like that, but he is just relentless. And actually, that really does a lot of the time take you that little bit further. And I think I totally agree with Eva around tournament structures. I don't think that, it's the way that Italian tennis is just absolutely flying at the moment. You look most weeks, there's a challenger, there's a futures, they're holding all kinds of events there. And I'd just love to see more of that in this country. Obviously, we have Wimbledon, it's huge for a few weeks. And we've got a couple of challenges around the grass. But I just think now we had a period where we had a lot of 25s, which was great. But I think a lot of those players have actually transitioned up to challenger level now. So I'd love to see those 25s being sort of transferred into challengers and just giving people just steps, isn't it? It's steps on the ladder.
Absolutely,
to really be able to push on.